Life in 3 dimensions got me bent and got me twisted. I know I done said a lot, but I should probably stop pretending. I don't really hold the key and I can't really push a button. I just step up to the mic and try my very best to bust it, but I ran out of breath. It's tight in my chest, my feet just might fail. I can't stand up.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Racially Speaking. I'm your host, David Phipps. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show wherever you're listening right now, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, really wherever you get your podcasts. Please follow, subscribe, do whatever that button at the bottom of your screen says right now. It really helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. Also, if you'd like it to take it a step further and for as little as $1 a month, please visit patreon.com/racially speaking, and you can get bonus engagement from yours truly and financially support the justice work I do on that show. Shout out to the patrons that are already there. I appreciate you guys so much. Look, welcome to a very non or atypical episode of this podcast. I'm going to do something a little bit different, and hopefully it's fun, refreshing, and helps us do a little bit of a new type of thought exercise. If you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, you know that I like diving into the trenches with this stuff, and I like thought exercises. So here's kind of a random a, not attack, a random attempt at doing this for the first time. I posted something a few days ago on social media that I really, if you watch the video or follow me on social media at all, or follow the podcast on social media, you can find it there. But I posted kind of a lighthearted thought exercise for people to engage with. And here's a little bit of background on where this is coming from. So, for my whole life, I can remember, and I didn't share all this in the video, so you're getting some bonus interaction right now and elaboration. For my whole life, as far back as I can remember, I have had people, whether I was a kid, whether it was in the last decade or two of my life, repeatedly think at different times and for different reasons that I was somebody else. One of the most specific examples I can remember is when I was about, between 5 and 8. I was in playing with my friends in the neighborhood, riding bikes and whatnot. And I had multiple kids stop me and come up to me and say, "Hey, are you the kid from the movie The Little Giants?" And this movie is, a throwback kid football movie from back in the day, back in my day. And I was familiar with it, but not super familiar with exactly what they're talking about. Anyway, multiple kids stopped me in the middle of playing. Kids who like I hadn't met that would just run into in the neighborhood and say, "No, you're that kid from the Little Giants." And I would say, "What are you talking about? No, I'm not. The movie? No, I'm not." And of course, I was little, so I didn't have the wherewithal to have a cultural conversation. But those kind of things have stuck with me throughout different points in my life. I don't remember as vividly throughout different points in my life of this specifically happening in such powerful ways until, as I shared on social media, I got to college. So I've been out of college since 2011. Went to grad school, got out 2016. But when I was in undergrad, so 2008 to 2011, 2012, and I still live in my college town and work on the college campus. So this has happened since then as well. Again, as I shared on social media, I have had probably between upwards of 10 to 15, maybe more times where a stranger, so not a friend, well, obviously not a friend, but a stranger has come up to me, or even more in depth, we've been in a conversation together. And this has happened again, well over double digits times, 10 to 15 to 20 times over the last decade or two, where I'll be mid conversation with somebody and I'll have to cut the conversation off, cut this person or these people off to tell them, "Hey, I think that you think that I am somebody else." And of course, in fact, I know that they think this because they're carrying on as if we have these inside jokes or these inside experiences, these mutual experiences that we've had together, and we're commiserating or laughing or talking about something together as if we were in the same room. And one of the most specific times I can think of is I was at this retreat and I met somebody there for the first time, and we're playing a game. We're in a circle, and this girl is in a conversation with me and just starts saying, "Man, how'd you do on that test the other day? Couldn't believe the questions were, X, Y, and Z were this hard. Professor so and so is pretty difficult. Can you believe that so and so said this in this class? Like, how do you feel about them?" Or and so on and so forth. And it kind of took off. I didn't realize what was happening in the moment, and obviously neither did this person because they thought it was somebody else, and they launched into this. We skipped the pleasantries. She launched into this monologue, and she thought it was going to be a dialogue between me and her because she thought it was somebody else. So I stopped her and said, "Wait, I'm sorry. I think you think that I am somebody else." She's like, "Wait, you're not in Professor, I don't remember his name, so and so's class?" And I was like, "No, that's not me. That's not even my major." And it took a little more convincing, but she, apologized, which I wasn't hurt. I didn't need her to apologize, but um, it was an interaction that stopped me in my tracks a little bit. Fast forward, rewind. I've had this happen multiple, multiple, multiple times. You can ask some of my friends, my wife. This has happened to in similar ways in completely different spaces all over. And it's caused me to think, what is going on here? And the video I posted the other day just recently was prompted by another experience of this happening, where I was in this local store with my 10-year-old son, trying to shop around for something, and we go in, and the owner, it's a locally owned store. I'm not gonna say what kind of store it is because I live in a small town. I don't wanna, poo poo on this guy. But I walk in the store and he's talking to somebody else. He says, "Hey, so and so, I'll be over in a minute." I didn't think anything of it, but he clearly, in hindsight, clearly said uh, another kind of not my name. And so he finishes with his customer. He comes over to me and my son, and then just starts to talk and talks about how backed up he is. Talks about how hard his day's been. Not complaining, just saying. And I realize he's saying this because he's trying to build a defense for, "I'm sorry, I don't have what you're looking for yet. It's not ready. I know you've come in a couple times. I'm working on it. Here's what I've had going on." And as he's going into the specificity of this conversation, this monologue, I realized, oh man, this is happening again in real time. And I have to say, "Yo, bro, I think you think that I'm somebody else." And he goes, "Wait, you're not." I think he accidentally thought I was some guy named Justin. He says, "You're not Justin?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I've never actually been here. We're here for the first time." So he wipes the sweat off his forehead and goes, "Whew, I'm so sorry. I'm also glad you're not him because I don't have his stuff ready. But man, you look exactly like this guy." And I said, "Yeah, I must have a doppelganger around here because this keeps happening." Um, and then, we had a nice conversation. I wasn't angry at this guy, but I said, "Yo, you got to meet some more Asian people, man." And then we kind of laughed it off. So it wasn't nothing contentious or anything. But I wanted to share this because this hasn't happened in a while, but it it's happened to me now 3 times in the last 3 weeks, and it's just got me thinking, what are some of the layers that are behind this that keeps happening? Feels kinda crazy to me. Last one I'll share for now is I recorded that social media video and put it out, had a few people comment, which I'm gonna get to, and a few people hit me up separately, and I'm gonna get to that. But the next day, that evening, after I posted the video, it happened again. And my wife saw and experienced it too. We were out with the kids at a restaurant. We were getting in the car, and a group of, I think, like 10 teenagers were walking around. And they all kind of turned and beeline for me as I'm getting in my own car and with their phone, like kind of running up to me, speed walking and saying, yo, come here. What, yo, is this you? And they hold up their phone and it's a TikToker of a guy that I'll admit looks a little bit like me, looks a lot like me. He's like, this is you. Is this you? And I had to say, yo, guys, that's not me. Also, y'all need to meet more Asian people. And we laughed that off too. And they went about their business. And Kate, my wife, in the car, I got in the car and she said, did that really just happen again? I said, I don't know what's going on, but I got to figure something out. I got to find out if I'm getting punked or something, which is why I posted that video asking, kind of surveying other people, especially people of color, if this is a common experience, which I've heard from several of you guys that it is. Let me unpack some of my thoughts on this of why you might be listening and thinking, David, everybody has gotten mistaken for somebody else. Everybody has mistaken somebody else for the wrong person. It happens. And I get it. That is true regardless of race, gender, culture. This has happened to everybody. We can all relate in some way. What I've not really heard a lot about is the degree to which this is happening. Now, I'm not trying to look fish for compliments or say, woe is me, I can't believe this happening, but I think it's very interesting. It's the layer that interests me is not the, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were somebody else, or oh, I thought he was somebody else, or man, I swear I saw so and so the other day, looked exactly like him, or man, this person in this movie even looks exactly like this person I know. It's not that. It's the amount of times that I've been face to face with somebody, shoulder to shoulder with somebody, and carried on a conversation with somebody, or they've carried on a conversation with me, and still have needed convincing from me that I am not the person that they have mistaken me to be. Now, there's other innocent layers behind that of why people can still need to be convinced, but the amount of times it's happened to me, like people will truly look me in my eyes, listen to my voice, and hear the words I'm saying and be like, are you sure you're not this person? Are you sure you're not crazy? Because I can't be crazy. And it takes these levels of convincing, like, hey, I know who I am. I'm not playing a joke on you. It's not me. That's not me. So that's the layer that sticks out. And I posted this on social media to see what other people thought about this. And I heard from a number of you guys, and a good amount of people said, a good amount of, my black and brown friends chimed in and said some really helpful things and shared some of their experiences, which my experiences isn't unique. A handful of y'all reached out and shared how this exact same thing has happened to you, a couple of you in my own same neck of the woods area, town. And so that that's interesting to me. And a lot of most people that reached out were all the people that reached out were of different races. Even had one of my white friends reach out, said that happened to them in a really similar way. The majority, everyone else was, a person of color. And ironically, not ironically, but I appreciated hearing everyone's stories and sharing their experiences. Ironically, I got, and this is almost never helpful, but I got a comment from an anonymous handle, which are usually the mean ones, but this one wasn't mean. At least I didn't take it that way. From an anonymous handle on TikTok that chimed in and said, and I'm paraphrasing, that this almost always happens to people of color, and it comes from the sentiment of not seeing another person of color, or from white people not seeing multiple people of color through the same individual lens as they would another white person, essentially lumping all Asian people together, all black people together, all Hispanic people together. And I got to be honest with y'all, I didn't need this person to say that, but that's kind of hit the nail on the head with how it feels, and it is my experience. And I think it's kind of the crux of a lot of the undertones of racism. is bred from overt racism, right? We've got slavery, we've got Jim Crow, we've got Japanese internment camps, we've got the whole sentiment of all Asian people look alike. Um, all Hispanic people look alike. Like them, they is almost always attributed to the minority communities or marginalized communities, people of color. And I think this anonymous comment is right in a sense of this is the common way that this happens. But I will say, I think it's important to self-reflect, regardless of race and gender and what culture we identify with, because I've talked to over my lifespan people of color, other Asian people that kind of fight the stereotype of, well, you know, especially if they grew up around Asian people, they think, yeah, I think all white guys look alike, or I think all uh, white girls look alike. And so I think it's important to know that it's a human thing, but I think most commonly manifests itself or runs its course in how white people view people of color, typically in that dynamic. So I'm sharing all this not because it's heavily weighing on me and I'm being over emotional about it, but I think it's an interesting thing to discuss here on Racially Speaking and kind of do a thought exercise. So if you're hearing this for the first time, you don't know what I'm talking about, what I talked about, or what I post on social media, great. Think about what sticks out to you. If you're a person of color, has this happened to you? Is this a sentiment that you can identify with? Is this something that, am I onto something with my experiences or that quote I kind of paraphrased? Um, and if you're my white brothers and sisters, is this something that you wrestle with? Have you had these kind of interactions on either end? Has it happened to you, or have you done this to somebody else um, unintentionally? I'd wonder what your thoughts are, what your thoughts and questions are with your feelings towards this happening. Am I being too oversensitive? Is this a nothing thing? Do you have pushback rising up in your heart as I'm saying this, or are you viewing it as, wow, I need to do some work and do some, not in a profound way, but do some soul searching a little bit. Think, man, do I subconsciously group people of color unfairly together in a way that is problematic? And I'd argue that we all do that to some degree, but I do think this thing with how often white people view communities of color, if we could chip away at that, these layers, this sentiment, I think that we can make some progress together with racially speaking, with how we relate to each other. So I'm keeping it short today. I wanted to hop on, give you guys some food for thought. I'm keeping these episodes a little shorter this summer. Hopping on, I know it's been a few in a row of just me. Rest assured, if you enjoy the back and forth conversations between me and a guest or co-host, next episode, I promise you won't want to miss. It's going to be me and a fantastic guest. Thank you guys. Again, please check out patreon.com/racially speaking. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the show and the justice work I do here on this show. Please follow and subscribe to wherever you're listening to the podcast right now. The artwork, I can never say artwork. Our artwork was created by Ashley Bush. And the music you're about to listen to is done by our guy, Dylan Dent. Peace, you guys. Thank you so much.
Life in 3 dimensions got me bent and got me twisted. I know I done said a lot, but I should probably stop pretending. I don't really hold the key and I can't really push a button. I just step up to the mic and try my very best to bust it, but I ran out of breath. It's tight in my chest, my feet just might fail. I can't stand the pressure. The nightmare might scare you, no words worse than reality. They hunt you by day, R.I.P. Ahmaud Arbery. Everybody got a time, but that's less than comforting. I hope I'm alive by the time they choose to comfort me. Mosquitoes in the vein, or leeches on my soul. This money on my mind is a fracture in my bones. You get crippled by continuing existence like a ghost. And they wonder why we drink, and they wonder why we smoke, and they wonder why we think that everything's a joke. I'm shocked that we can sleep, must be the thought of letting go. Now I lay me down to sleep, I'm fed up with the valley. Now I lay me down to sleep, I'm fed up with the valley. Now I lay me down to sleep, I'm fed up with the valley.